Okay, that's us going now. Hi guys, welcome back. We're here to talk about the Ireland-Scotland game for the second game of the opening weekend of the Six Nations. I'm honoured to have Nigel Quigley back on with me again. How you doing, Nigel?
How you doing, mate? Good to see you.
Yeah, likewise. Enjoyed the podcast we did at the World Cup. It's good to have you back as always. Although a bit more foe than friend going into this weekend,
Absolutely, mate.
one could say.
Absolutely.
So,
It's on.
oh yeah, absolutely. Nigel and I got on pretty well online generally, but for 80 minutes tomorrow, we'll be albeit on separate sides of Britain, we'll be pretty much hammer and tong at each other. Maybe not during the game, but afterwards. Anyway, how do you think it's going to go from Ireland's point of view? What do you think of Ireland's team they picked, and with regards to Ireland going forward into this game?
Well, we don't know what Farrell's game plan is. We won't know that until tomorrow. It's a fairly predictable pick, I think.
Mm-hmm.
He's got, at the risk of sounding a bit negative, he's gone a bit safe with the picks. I think most fans could have predicted that team. There was the Cooney talk because John Cooney is the informed nine, probably in Europe at the
Yeah,
minute.
absolutely, I agree with you there.
I didn't think he'd get picked for this game. I just did not think Andy Farrell would take any chances on his first game on home turf. He's going to go safe. He's picked Caelan Doris at 8, which is a bit of a change. But having said that, I've watched Doris play for Leinster, and I don't think he's a step down from anyone, to be honest. One new face on the bench in Kelleher as well. He's looked really, really exciting for Leinster in the Pro 14. And this is a step up for him, and we'll have to see how he goes. First international is going to be a nervous day for him. So, let's not put too much pressure on the lad. Let's let him get in. Really, it's going to be game 2, game 3, I think, before we see what Andy Farrell's plan is for Ireland. Is he going to chop and change it, bring these new faces in, start giving them game time? Or will he revert to what Joe Schmidt would have done, the old familiars, and keep them in and dig in with the plan? I mean, the game plan is going to be key because the game plan last season was sussed out. Ireland were taken apart pretty easily by a couple of teams last year. England and New Zealand spring to mind. So that's got to change because the personnel hasn't changed much. And we know how good they are for their clubs. We know what they bring. We know their skills. It's going to be what really Andy Farrell wants them to do for him. And that's what I'm more interested in than the personnel.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think that it was an interesting pick, Doris at 8, because I've seen bits and pieces of him. He's not like the sort of powerful ball carrying like the Billy Vunipola type 8. He's a bit more lanky and athletic. He's got like good hands and feet on him from what I've seen. Don't get me wrong, but I just thought it was like kind of interesting. They've gone for that kind of 8 rather than CJ Standard. He's moved to the flank now, so which suggests to me, of course, they're going to go very physical at the breakdowns a lot. Not that they aren't physical anyway, a lot more. And what are your thoughts there?
I think they're going to try and get up front dominance, and I think they have to because there's a lot of stars in the Irish back line, but that's a very talented looking Scottish back line as well. And they're going to want to deprive them ball. We've got Jordan Larmour playing at fullback, and I think he's gone well.
Mm-hmm.
Still a few question marks over his defence, and I'm not sure if they're justified. I mean, I think there was a possibility Addison might have been in there or in the 23 had he been fit enough to play. But Jordan's a good lad. He's got great feet. He's still finding his way. So I suspect the back three will be put under a bit of pressure from Ariel Ball from Scotland early on. They'll test that out. If they get something from it, they'll keep it going. So the first 10 minutes for him will be vital. If he gets the confidence, then he can push on. But I think they will try and gain up front dominance, and I think that's where they will target. It's really what to do with the ball once they get it to the backs. That's what I'm interested to see. Are we going to mix it up a bit? I mean, Gary Ringrose is a player that enjoys a bit of space. Mm-hmm. He's fantastic with a bit of space around him. He didn't get that in the World Cup. He didn't get it in the Six Nations. And for me, that was because the guy inside him was carrying it into contact an awful lot. So we're getting an awful lot of reset ball, and quite often, and Guy Ringrose might have been the first centre receiving the ball in the next play, and he didn't have the room to move. So it'll be interesting to see what we do with it once it leaves the nine's hands. That's going to be for me.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting because they picked more pretty much the same 12 inside him that was there last year. So That'd
Yeah.
be. But I think where Ringrose could be effective is if because Ireland were a bit mixed bag in this last year because they know they have the tactic of Sexton on the loop. And I think if you could get Aki in to draw the tackles, he's got a decent offload, and then Sexton goes round, and that could open it up for Ringrose a lot more. If you move the ball in that kind of fashion, I mean that's what I'd say.
Well, offloading's key because I remember one of the Six Nations games last year, and I can't recall which one it was. And I was online talking with other Irish fans, and I made the point that I've made all along under Joe Schmidt. He doesn't like offload.
No.
On that. And the guy I was talking to at the time said Ireland made 6 offloads during that game. And I was like, okay, but I watched the England game as well, and they made 6 offloads in one phase of moves.
Mm-hmm.
One phase of moves. And they gained about 30 metres with it, I might add. So we don't offload very much at all. I have a suspicion that Farrell will be a bit more open to that tactic. I think every good team uses it, to be honest. So that'll be interesting to see because there was too much, I think, last season of just taking it into contact, reset, take it into contact. They were trying to bludgeon teams and then kick it over the top and hope one of the wingers would get it. It was just too predictable, I think. So they really need to expand their game, go wide more often. Another thing that and this was last season again, I picked this up, and I don't think Conor Murray has been 100% since he injured his neck. I just don't think he's there. And we didn't hear very much about what that injury was, which is odd.
Yeah, because he was out for about 8 months or something, wasn't he? Like something like that.
Yeah. I mean, his form's been a bit better for Munster lately, I have to say, and it has been. But one thing that always annoys me, and I sort of looked at this last season, he's a very right-handed player. He passes right out of set plays about 80% of the time. I mean, people talk about Stockdale not having a good cup, and he didn't. He didn't have a great Six Nations, and he made mistakes, but he very seldom got the ball out his side. Very, very seldom. It just kept going right. And the only time he really got the ball was the occasional time they went left or when he came inside looking for it. So I'd like to see the plays varied from side to side a bit because oppositions, they examine teams to the nth degree. Mm-hmm. If I got Conor Murray's passing to the right 80% of the time, you could be damn sure Scotland, England, Wales, and France know that as well, and Italy. They know that as well. And they probably have better stats than I could ever quote. So it makes you predictable because they know there's only a 1 in 5 or a 1 in 6 chance he's going to go left. Mm-hmm. So they come out to their left to cover what he does. So it's the game plan. As I say, I keep harping on game plan. The personnel are there. Great pack there, great strength. We know what the backs can do for the clubs, for the provinces, but we need to see them doing it in a green shirt. Mm-hmm. And we play for it. Because actually, Johnny Sexton, I thought he had a terrible World Cup and he didn't have a good nations. But when he's played in the Heineken Cup this year, he's been really good. So we need him bringing that to the green shirt again.
What do you think of Sexton being captain?
There's a lot of giving off about it. I don't know the guy. We know he can get a bit hot-tempered at times, and to be honest, making him captain could be the biggest thing that'll help him. It really could be. I don't think it's a major issue. Let's be honest. If he does get too gobby with the referee will now just say, "I'm not talking to you anymore." He's captain? Vice captain's not your captain. So the referee's in control of that. But wait and see. I'm not going to put the guy down because a lot of people have done that. I don't think it's fair. He could end up being a very good captain for us, to be honest.
I'm thinking also more long term from Ireland's perspective because he's 34 now. You think, is he going to be there in 4 years' time for the next World Cup? Is he going to be still at this level for the Lions?
I don't think he will be. I don't think he will be. I think what Ireland are doing is a bit of a handover. I think they'll take the next couple of years, bring the younger players in, develop them into the team, and they'll filter players out over 2 years. It's not going to be like France. France have basically done the reset, haven't they?
Much, yeah.
A whole palaver of new players, which looks really exciting, and it really does. Those players, you think in 2-3 years' time, that could be one hell of a team.
Yeah.
I think England will beat them on Sunday, to be honest, because I think this time round they'll just have too much for them up front, too much experience. In 2 years' time, that could be a frightening team to play. Ireland haven't done that. They've brought in some new faces, but they're only in the wider squad, mm-hmm. 1 or 2 in the main squad. It's going to be a very slow process, this. But I think we will see more of the likes of Cooney. We will see Doris. We may see Deegan, Gallagher. like that are going to come in. Whether we'll see the likes of McCluskey, Burns, we might against the likes of Italy, or maybe on the bench for some of the games, and depending on injuries, of course. Don't think we'll see a lot of game time, which I think is unfortunate for McCluskey, because I'd love to see him and Ringrose play together.
Yeah, that'll be a very good partnership.
Yeah, I think they'd be a very good pair in those. But hey, look, we'll see what he does. I mean, he's brought them on board. International camp experience is always good anyway. But it would be nice to see them pull the shirt on. But that's more likely going to be against Italy. Honestly, it really is. At home, it's going to be a fairly easy pick. They're all good players, but I think he'll stick. I mean, England. We're looking at England, Wales away. No, we've got
England and France away. You've got
Wales at home, England and France away. Those are two scary games for Ireland this year, I think. Particularly the England game. That's the one. What Ireland must avoid this season is getting humped by England again.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have to avoid that. Even if they lose the game, make a game of it. Because that first game last season in Dublin, they looked like rabbits caught in the headlights in the first 20 minutes.
Absolutely.
It's like they did not know what had happened. England came at them like steam trains, and they just didn't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
And these seasoned, experienced internationals, never seen players react. I mean, I watched them on the pitch, and I could see their faces and thinking, this game's lost already, because these guys don't know what to do. Don't know what to do.
Yeah, I mean, England
on Saturday. I mean,
yeah.
Yes, I predicted Ireland should get a result at home, but make no mistake, if they don't turn up tomorrow and go for this, they'll lose that game. Scotland are not going to come make it easy for them. If Scotland are on form and Ireland are not on form, top form, Ireland will lose that game. This is not an easy win for Ireland. This is going to be a tight game, and it could be decided by one score. And literally, it could go either way. I'm going home advantage because A, I'm Irish, and B, we're at home. If they don't play to the plan and play well, they're going to lose that game, because Scotland are good enough to beat you if you're not right on top of your game.
Well, I mean, I think we're, but I mean, also we've got our problems as well right now. Obviously, you know about all the off-field stuff with Finn Russell, which no one still knows the full story about. He apparently turned up to the team on the Sunday night. He was bleezing drunk, and then I think Gregor Townsend asked him to come to train on Monday to apologise for it, and then he didn't turn up. But the thing is, you can argue it was a bit harsh because he just played the game on the Sunday. He was in the Racing against Saracens game, and then him and Sean Maitland went up to the Scottish training camp after the game. Where they obviously met up with the squad. It wasn't a training camp, pardon me, it was just a squad meeting. And so even on the Monday, he wouldn't have been fit for full contact. And then it was just kind of, there's just some friction going on there, which hasn't helped us. And obviously Stuart Hogg captain at fullback. I'm a bit so about a captain being fullback. And in regards to our pack, we have players who are good rugby players, but in terms of bringing that real menace you need up front, especially against a team like Ireland, because the way yous have beaten us in the past few years, yous have targeted us up front, like the traditional Joe Schmidt tactics of like solid at the set pieces, target the driving mauls. And at the World Cup especially, that was a really effective tactic against us because we just didn't stand up to it at all. And that's where I think we have players who can stand up to that, but they need to do it more often. We're really missing Richie Gray, especially right now, in terms of actually being someone who is very effective at just sacking them all at source. And we've not got that many other players who are capable of doing that, at least not as well as Richie Gray does. So that could be an area I'm pretty worried about, to be honest.
I think that's where it'll be decided. It'll be up front because they're two good sets of backs. Scotland are going to be dangerous coming forward in the back line because they despite the fact Ireland beat last season, I felt Scotland were actually more inventive in the back line than Ireland were. It really was a set piece dominance that dictated both those games.
I thought it was more our mistakes then, because that second half we made it.
Well, you do make mistakes when you're on the back foot because you're trying to get back into the game, I suppose.
Even when we were on the front foot, we had plenty of possession. We just kept little knock-ons, silly forward passes, stuff.
What I really like is what the Scottish back line were trying to achieve, the way they're trying to play. And we didn't see that last year at all. I mean, we just did predictable contact, carry, recycle, go rugby. And when you look at the personnel they've got, you're thinking, why are they doing that? Scotland didn't do that in the backs. Yes, there were some errors, and I know there was yes, there were things went wrong, I know, but that's practice and training puts that right. But that's a dangerous back line.
Mm-hmm.
And it really is a dangerous back line. And a very fast back line you've got as
Mm-hmm.
well. You
Yeah.
know, there's a lot in that back line. And that'll be interesting to see how that goes. I mean, the temptation is, for me, as I said earlier, that Ireland are just going to try and beat you up front
Mm-hmm.
and starve you as much because they don't want that back line getting the ball too much, you know.
Yeah, I guess say in terms of our our back line, a lot of it depends how our halfbacks do because we've got Ali Price who it suits the faster game and wants to play a bit more, but at international level he has this ability to be so inconsistent. And I think George Horne actually would have been a better shout to starting. I think you'll see us.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think you'll see us speed up a lot more consistently when George Horne comes off the bench because he's an excellent scrum half and he's very good at making sure like the ball's just being whipped away quickly and that we're on the constantly moving the ball and on the attack and keeping the defenders on their toes. And Adam Hastings at 10, obviously we don't have Finn Russell. Adam Hastings is a very mixed bag of a player as well. He can have some games for Glasgow where he plays really well. Like he was excellent in the recent European Cup game against Exeter. With the 31-all draw, he had a very good game then. But you can also have games like against La Rochelle, which I saw in December on a bloody cold night at Scoutston, where he was absolutely awful and just didn't get his back line or his first and second receivers into play much at all or making great impacts at all. And it just depends on what Adam Hastings turns up because we've seen in international rugby flashes of what he can do in his quality, but he's still learning a lot. He's still got a bit of a way to go. So
I don't know what license Gregor Townsend gives his players because at most international teams you play to game plans, don't you? And they're set and they're agreed. And I think that helps a player like because he's not having to think all the time what he wants to do, which you can do at club level much more. He will be playing to a plan.
Yeah.
And they will have, that's why, it is more physical, it is faster. But international rugby quite often is a lot more predictable than club rugby because you start to pick up the moves that they've got, their standard plays, where they're to get wins, and you'll see that again and again and again. And I think that'll make it easier for him. He's a bloody good player, Hastings. I mean, I don't. Finn Russell's a loss, yeah, absolutely. But with Gavin Hastings there, I don't think they're stuffed. Not at all. As you say, if he's on his game, he's a bloody good player. Him. So I wouldn't panic too much about that one. Let's see how he goes. But he could just come out tomorrow and be on fire, and it could be a real problem for Ireland. So. And actually, I think I like the look of the Scottish team. It's a good team. That's a good team. I get your point about the pack, but again, let's see how they go. Because I think times the way Ireland played in the past, if they didn't get set piece dominance, it really fell apart.
Yeah.
Fell apart behind it because they totally relied on it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So when they weren't getting it, affected the whole team, the whole play. So as I say, I'm hoping. I've seen international rugby teams win games on the back foot on set piece because their backs are adaptive and they've got a plan and they go for something else, get the ball away quick and go at them, use the strengths you've got. Ireland didn't have that last year. I'm hoping Farrell will bring some of that in because we're going to meet packs that are going to match us. If not tomorrow, the following week or the weeks to come. And we're going to have to do something differently. Same for Scotland. But you've got a very exciting back line there, and Ireland's going to have to starve them the ball and defend well. I think as well to keep them out. They're good back line.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think if you can starve us the ball defensively, we've still got players there that are quite, can be susceptible. I think you will, there will be quite a lot of either Stander or Ryan or Furlong, your powerful ball carriers will be going down Hastings' channel because. As I said, he has his moments where defensively he can, he can stand up to players and make tackles, but he can just at other times just fall apart and players can just run straight through him. On our wing as well, I'm actually glad that this time it's Sean Maitland going up against Jacob Stockdale and not Blair Kinghorn. Because don't know if you remember a couple of years ago when we played you, Stockdale just had Kinghorn on toast. Because Kinghorn 1-on-1 is he's an excellent attacking winger, but as a defensive winger, he's still got a lot of work to do. He's all over, he can be all over the shop sometimes, and so I'm glad it's Maitland up against him. I can see a bit of a weakness in Stockdale's defensive game. I don't know if you are with me there.
It's his position has been the issue, and I don't know how much of it was him, how much of it. I always felt that Joe gave him quite a bit of license to run up in defence because he's many intercept tries, and you've got to be quick up in defence to do that. But I think at times Jacob was running up too often and going for intercepts and breaks that weren't there. And if you don't, the great thing about those is if you make the tackle, if you make the intercept, you're the hero.
Yeah.
If you miss it, you leave it. And I think that so it's a 50-50 situation at times. And probably at the minute it's going against him about 60-40. So people are saying, oh, he can't defend, he's in the wrong place. If it was 50-50 again, they'd be saying what a player he is. That's how it works. It's timing and it's position. So, I think what we've seen in Ulster this season, he's starting to find a bit of form again, but he's playing differently. He's not coming out of the line as quick. He's in his line better, he's defending better, but we're not going to see as many intercept tries and breakaways from him because of that, because he has to stay back a bit more. And that in, I think, the Ireland shirt as well. He'll be better defensively, but he's not going to score as many tries.
Well, actually, I did think...
the price you pay for it, yeah.
I did think, actually, when at the World Cup, it was one of your more effective tactics against us when he did charge up, because there was a couple of times he nailed... one I especially remember, he nailed Stuart Hogg when we looked like we had a decent attack set up to go out wide, and he sprinted up out the line. And then he just nailed Hogg before he was able to get out to the wing. So and he smashed him backwards. I think he turned us over or something. When
they work, they're fantastic, and they're great team and a great video. When they don't work, but you leave a gap and that's it, and they're in.
Yeah.
So I think he'd be tempered back a bit this year. I think we've already seen it in Ulster. Just coming out of the line as quick. He's not going for the intercepts. And really, I think what we haven't seen a lot of this season is the kick and chase from him as well. So I'd like to see that back in his game because he's one of the best I've seen at that.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Kicking the ball.
And he practices that a lot, so hopefully we'll see that. But his confidence has been knocked since last year. There's no doubt about that. You can see it. Right? He was just trying to play safe, and he was staying out of trouble. But we do need him to start pushing forward again and making those little moves and going for those attacks. So, but the last 3 games he played for Ulster, he's been quite good. He's been very good, and he's set up tries, and he's been there. So he's back, I think. So this will be a good tournament for him. I hope. Because it'll really boost his confidence again. Obviously, you don't tomorrow.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's what I say. I'm glad is Maitland up against him, because Maitland's a lot more intelligent player, a better defender than Kinghorn is. Even though, if you get Stockdale trying to bulldoze him 1-on-1, you think Stockdale's just going to win every time. But I think Maitland is also he's intelligent enough to know when to guide him towards the touchline best as possible, and when to try and cut him back inside to get help, support, and tackle him. So, but again, Stockdale, I think he's one of those players. Again, depends how you use him when you have the ball, because I think he could be effective a lot of different ways. He could cut in and play almost like a third centre. He could, just cut around the fringes.
But I'd like to. Yeah, I'd definitely like to see Ireland vary their plays out left a bit more often, because I watched the game. I think it was. I'm not sure it was. I think it was the England game. It was at home anyway, so it was either the England game or the French game. And I think in the first half they went left 4 times.
Yeah.
In the whole 40 minutes, and he had the ball twice in 40 minutes. And you're sort of going, what impact do you expect a player to have when he's standing out in the wing and not seeing the ball? And just not seeing it. In the second half, he started coming in, but. Then he was doing that third centre thing you talk about, and he was a bit more effective, but he's his most dangerous out in the wing.
Yeah. And
he needs to see the ball. But whatever it was last season, the players on the pitch, the halfbacks, didn't really want to use him. Whereas the year before, they were fizzing it out to him all the time, and he was trying. But for some reason last year, it went right, and it made their play predictable. And more often than not, he was standing out in the wing with nothing to do.
Yeah.
So I hope he sees a bit more of the ball this time around, and I hope they vary their plays. But we'll see, because as I say, it's pretty much the same team that played the World Cup. So they're going to have to do something differently to win games.
Conor Murray, especially now, he's got to be obviously feeling John Cooney breathing down his neck, because I think that could work in your favour, in that Conor Murray knows now he's got somebody that's seriously competing for his spot, so he knows if he's not performing, then Cooney is ready to come on and step up. And I think John Cree's been absolutely brilliant this season, what I've seen of him. And I think, I mean, without a doubt, I know you maybe different opinion for me. I think he should have started just on form alone because he was just of how well he's been playing.
If you go on form,
Yeah.
Cooney should have started. Cooney, I say the most pundits I read have John Cooney down as possibly the form scrum half in Europe at the minute, if not the form player.
Right.
That would get you a start in a national game, but as I say, I think there's a safety element with Farrell. I think there is. Well, John Cooney, you have to remember, only did 2 training sessions in the last week because I'm back from an HIA protocol in the Bath game.
Yeah, okay.
And Andy Farrell actually mentioned that. I actually said to the Irish fans, am I the only person listening to this interview? Because he's explained possibly why he's not starting, But I think he has gone a bit safe with Conor Murray. But you're absolutely right. He knows he's got competition now. And that's going to come up in his performances. And if it does, and we've got him on top form and Cooney on top form, well, that's great for Ireland, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so. Because
yeah.
I rated before his injury. I rated Conor Murray as the best 9 in the world. So that'll be if you can get up to that level, you're bloody lucky, mate.
No, I totally agree with you. I think Conor Murray was the best 9 on the planet before his injury. I totally agree with that. He was fantastic. I don't think he's been right since, but the last couple of games I watched, he's definitely been better than I've seen him in a long time. So yeah, I think the pressure on him from Cooney is going to tell, and it's going to work. But it's great. Like I say, as long as we win games, I'm quite happy for John Cooney to sit on the bench. He isn't. But as long as he's getting game time, I think the thing that always annoys particularly Ulster fans about John Cooney is he went to the tour of South Africa and got 3 minutes and played 8 minutes.
Yeah.
It's not good enough. They're bringing him on. Well, minutes was it? They brought him on for 3 minutes. They brought him on for 5 minutes. It was ridiculous. Why even take him? So let's please not see that tomorrow. Although if we're under pressure and Murray's still playing well, they might keep him on. But I would hope he'd chop and change it. His life won't end if he doesn't win the Six Nations. We're not very likely to win the Six Nations unless we see something that we haven't seen in the last year. This is really about building his team and starting the rebuilding process, I think, and he needs to realise that. Because, England are going to be up there as one of the favourites. Wales are still going strong, I think. Yeah. This French, we just don't know what they'll be like, but we'll see. So I have to be realistic about expectations this season.
Yeah, I'd say, I think I said already, I think Ireland can be confident enough with their home games. I think the Wales one will be the sticky one a bit, but again, Wales themselves are going through the transitions, obviously with Wayne Pivac, their coach. They're going to be a completely different style, but also looking at Wales' team they picked against Italy, it suggests to me that there's going to be still an element of the same with Gatland there, because obviously how long Gatland's been there, it's not going to be an overnight change straight into the way Pivac wants them to play. So that'll be interesting. You expect Wales to beat Italy, but going into the Ireland game, that'll be a potentially interesting matchup, depending how Ireland do against Scotland, of course. Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. I expect Wales to. Italy have made a lot of changes. They're kind of rebuilding again, resetting again. So in the Principality, that's a win for Wales. It's just how big a win it'll be, I think. As I say, tomorrow's game, and I'm not trying to sound cocky here or wind you up, I expect us to get a result because we're at home. And he's gone safe with selection. He's gone for a lot of the reliable players that he would have worked with under Schmidt as well. But hey, they don't turn up, they won't win. It's as simple as that. It's not like there are teams you can make quite a few mistakes against and still get a win. Scotland's not one of them. And arguably, the only one you might get away with that. So they've got to play well tomorrow, or they will not win.
I was going to say, I don't know. If we can get in broken play, I think we're still a team. You don't want to be making too many mistakes against us because we can, we can throw the ball about and get down the field quickly. But if you get the basics right, like play the way you have done in the past, last 3-4 times beating us. If you play like you did at the World Cup and we play like we did at the World Cup, then we're absolutely stuffed, no doubt. So I'll just say that. That's where I'm looking from our perspective is to make sure we start well, but at least in the game going into half time, and then in the second half, we can try and keep the pressure on. I mean, maybe if we fade a bit at the end, then I think okay, we've given it our all. But if it's the key for Scotland, from my point of view, is we start well, and then we can hopefully do something from there. But
let's make no mistake, this is two teams that underperformed again in a World Cup. One did marginally better than the other. Yes, we got to the quarterfinal. We got duly stuffed by New Zealand.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a lot better, Kyle. You know what I mean? It wasn't a lot better. Yeah, we got there, but we got absolutely humped by New Zealand.
I just like to remind you of that because I see some of your forums. You make out like it's the end of the world. How the World Cup, not you personally, but others in your forum make out like it's the end of the world.
But then because regular Scottish fans saying to me, "Oh, we did better than us." Yeah, by one game, and that one game was enough. New Zealand, so let's be realistic here. So these are two teams that need to improve. These are two teams that need to change. Tomorrow could be a really interesting game because we may see two teams doing things differently.
Yeah.
And then in that case, you don't know what will happen.
Yeah.
But as I say, when I look at the Ireland team, he's gone fairly safe with selections, so it's going to be down to game plan. Scottish team, a few changes in there. It's a quick team. I think that's the thing I know about the Scottish team. That's a fast team. That's a fast back line, very dangerous back line. And you do the matchups, for the speed and relative control of the players and Aki's a really good defender, but look who he's up against. Can he catch him? The ring rules will be fine. I think our wings are pretty good that way. There's two quick back lines, but we do have Aki. But Aki's going to attack the line. You know that. He'd probably look at going for Hastings as well. He'd even come in go for him, I think. So the Scottish defence in that area will be key.
Yeah, I think Sam Johnson at 12 is capable of standing up to him. I mean, if you remember last Six Nations, there was one tackle he made on Manu Tuolangi. He absolutely thumped him backwards. So I think he's capable of standing up to Aki. But I mean, I'm a bit dubious about Hastings. I think Aki's going to try and target his channel as much when possible, like off the first phase ball. So Aki's
not actually as big Aki's not actually as big as you think. I used to think Aki was a huge guy until I seen him standing up against Tuolagi.
Yeah, and Tuolagi thumped him last year. I remember that.
And the other one I seen him stand up beside was at the game in Ulster last year against Stu McCluskey, and he's a lot smaller than him as well.
Really?
Well, Stu McCluskey's what, 6? What's he, 6'4"? 6'3", so he's a big lad too.
Well, no, pardon me.
He's built.
Yeah, I was gonna. Yes.
Yeah, he's built like a brick one, like he is.
I was just gonna say, Nigel, like in terms of height, McCluskey obviously bigger, but I was mean in terms of bulk. I mean, Aki looks a wee bit bulky.
Aki's he's a breeze block, like he absolutely is. Yeah. Very, very interesting game, mate. I in the back of my head, I sort of think I know how Ireland are going to play it, but that's harking back to last year and looking at the personnel that's in the team. But at the same time, logic tells me Andy Farrell can't do that because we're not going to do well in the Six Nations if we do what we did last year. Mm-hmm. So and it's going to be really interesting, that game tomorrow. It'll be fascinating to see the tactics of both sides.
Yeah, I think it's clear how we're going to try to play. It's a question of whether we can execute it or not. And also, I think a question of whether we can stand up to Ireland's pack and at least make a fist of it. I mean, I think there's still some areas like at scrum time on paper, yous are definitely ahead of us. At line out, I'd say Ireland are a bit ahead of yous are a bit ahead of us as well. But that's going to be two areas I'm hoping we can at least get some parity, at least in Ireland's throws, because the last game we played against you at the World Cup, it was that Ireland got 12 from 12 at the lineouts. I remember that, and that's where I think we need to try and disrupt more, try and get, and especially since it's not Rory Best throwing anymore. I think Herons, from what I've seen of him, he's good. He's a good thrower, but I mean, again, fairly new, replacing someone who's been there a long time.
He's fairly new and quite berated by a lot of Irish fans because they say, oh, he's a terrible thrower. If you actually look at his stats, they're better than three of his competitors. But where I think he gets berated, if we're Ulster last season, for example, had great momentum with their mauls. Scored a lot of, Rob Herring scored a lot of tries last season, and they were off the back of 5-metre lineouts and mauls. If you look at where Ulster lost most of their lineouts this season, it's when they've been in the 5 metres. This is a coaching issue and a training issue, because opposition's the best way to stop them all is to stop it starting in the first place.
Absolutely, yeah.
They were targeting those lineouts within the 5 metres massively with scarily success. That's the problem. Ulster weren't adapting and saying, okay, they've got us here, we need to change what we're doing, and they didn't. So that's a coaching issue for me. But that's where he lost an awful lot of his lineouts. It was the 5-metre ones. And it was for me because the opposition teams realised we need to disrupt these, because if they get them all started here, we're
yeah.
So and they did it, and it's good coaching, it's good observation of your opponent.
Yeah, I mean that's a tactic I'm not just like there, but in general, I don't see enough of these days. Like in general, you just see teams being so defensive in the 5-metre zone. Mostly, they just stand there waiting for the maul to set up so they can just drive it, stop it at source, or they just hold it up as best they can. I'd like to see more. I mean, I don't know if we'll do it, because we're one of those teams in those habits of just, when it's in the 5 metres, of waiting for it to come down so we can, wait for the maul to get set up, or try and sack it at source and fail. Whereas I'd rather see us actually try and disrupt more at lineouts and try and get under the skins just to rattle and unsettle teams.
I think we are seeing more of that. I think we are seeing more of that in games now, though. But certainly with Ulster, I've noticed it. My conclusion was that's what it is, because when Ulster get a maul going in the 5 metres, quite often they score. They've got a very maul now. So what the opposition teams were doing was, if we can't sack it straight away, we've got to compete for it. And as you say, you could sack it and get your timing wrong. That could be a penalty try, So you don't want to do that. And they've really Ulster's line out through, and I think what I can see is fairly predictable. They don't have a huge amount of calls, and I think the opposition team suss them out pretty quickly. 5 metres, they're competing for them. You do get the odd wonky throw. Show me a hooker that doesn't throw the odd wonky one, but certainly some of the throws, they were being picked off by the opposition. They knew where to be, and they knew how to disrupt them. I think in one game I saw Ulster lost 4 lineouts in the whole game, and 3 of them were in the 5 metres.
Okay.
So that's being targeted. They've got to do something differently here. But I don't think they'll have that issue with Ireland. It's a completely different coaching. And Co in there, and it'll be a different setup. And I'm hoping he learns something and brings it back to Ulster, and we do that. I think it'll be a fascinating game, mate. I really do. As I say, I've got to put my hand on my heart and think home win. I think it'll be a fairly close game. If Ireland don't turn up, they'll lose. But I don't know. We don't know what the tactics are going to be for either side.
Yeah.
We really don't.
I think. I was going to say I think probably Ireland by 7 to 10 points. As much as I hate to say it, I just think with where we were at the World Cup and where we are now, and with everything that's going on, if we can at least turn up and put a performance in, and come away with some sort of respect, even if it's a losing bonus point we come away with. I mean, I think we're actually showing we care. We're showing we're wanting to at least we can compete with these big teams, and and we can take some confidence going into the Calcutta Cup the following week. I think for me, Scotland's targets, it should be 3 out of 5. If we can get 2 out of 5, I'll be happy enough. But again, we'll see what happens. I don't know. But if we don't turn up, then we're stuffed. That's the simple fact.
God bless us if they both don't turn up. What a hard game that'll be.
Well, if it finishes 6-3, we're still getting a bonus point. So that's true.
That's true.
That's true. Okay, is there any other areas of the game you want to talk about, or anything that's...
Not really. I think we covered most of it. I don't think... We just can't delve into it too deeply, because we've got nothing to go off previously. We are looking at different setups here, some different players in the Ireland case, different coach. We don't really know what they're going to do. I would probably speak a lot more about Ireland after the game tomorrow, once we see what they're up to, because we haven't seen anything. What Farrell wants to bring to the game, except what he said. And at the end of the day, that's not what he's going to do, because his coaching is going to be between him and his team. We'll see it tomorrow, and there'll probably be more to discuss after that. I would think.
And it's interesting from our point of view as well, because we've got. I know Gregor Townsend's still there, but we've got a couple of new coaches on the team as well. Steve Tandy,
Sorry.
who used to coach the Ospreys, and is on defence. And we've got Peter de Villiers, ex-France prop, ex-South African scrum coach, who's working with our scrum. So that'll be interesting to see if they've made any impact short term. Because the scrum is another area I'm worried about, especially up with Rory Sutherland, who's third choice at Edinburgh up against Tag Furlong. So that'll be.
Yeah, that's a big one because Tag's quite a player, isn't he?
I mean, Rory Sutherland's back in his day, he was decent. He got a bad injury. He hasn't played for a while. He's back this season, and he's still trying to get his way back into the Edinburgh team, but he's not first choice there. So I'll be interested to see how he does against him. And then tight head, we've gone for Xander Fagerson, who's an excellent player around the park, but scrums are a bit iffy. So we'll see how.
I think one of the things is I'm not a front row player, and it's a dark art. I was a second row, back row player when I played, but it is a dark art in there. I mean, I see there's a couple of lads at Ulster, and one of them's in the squad, Tom O'Toole. Mm-hmm. And Tom O'Toole's as strong as an ox. I mean, the lad's power is unbelievable. But he's 22, and I've seen him go into games where he's done all right, and I've seen him go into games against really experienced circlers where he's come off really badly, and it's technique and knowledge and experience, and he doesn't have that yet. I thought it was probably a bit early to bring him into the squad, I think. I mean, I get why he did it, but I thought, is he at that level yet? I'm not sure. Again, we might see him out in the Italy game for a half or off the bench, so it'll be interesting to see. But in an Ulster shirt, I've seen him come up against some real old stagers who have just outwitted him. They've just brained him, and he needs to learn that. Can he do it in an Ireland shirt? That's a hard place to learn your trade, an international shirt.
Mm-hmm. But we all got to do it sometime if you're playing at that level. Can't just not give folk debuts. If they're good enough, give them a go, no matter what age. I think.
True. Yeah, true enough. True enough.
Anyway, I think we've covered pretty much everything, Nigel. If you're happy with that, top stuff. It's good to have you on again, man. And I'm sure we'll be chatting, no doubt, after the game, and we'll see what happens afterwards. Hope you all enjoyed this video, guys. Thanks, Nigel, for coming on, and we'll catch you later on. Take care.